Hello, or good day from Australia. My name is David Hughes and I am the model maker behind Zero Bubble Model Design. I specialise in the design, development and production of model submarine kits primarily for the RC hobby industry. My designs are to now focus on modern and Cold War nuclear submarines. I have been a model maker for 30 years. I started in the RC world originally developing scale sailplanes and gliders, something I still sometimes get the chance to do. However, about 17 years ago, I started turning my attention to submarines, a vehicle that I've always been fascinated with, but could find little on in the form of kits available. I have been a scratch builder since I was 8, and this was due to the fact that I love all aspects of the design process, and that what I wanted and the subjects I wanted modelled didn't exist in the local hobby shop. I started off with sticky tape and cardboard, then graduated through to balsa and solar film, and finally fiberglass and polyurethane. I have been continually refining my modelling technique and always challenged by the work of others. The way I produce models now is nothing like the way I used to. About 5 years ago, I realised that the means by which I would produce my designs would lend itself really well to production. I don't so much build a model as a complete set of tooling to do so. The finished model only appears at the end of the process. I realise that there is no such thing as perfection. However, I have made it my aim to get as close to this as I possibly can. The development of a new kit takes months of research. The nature of the designs I wish to emulate often means that you are rubbing up against the national security issues of the major powers involved. It is compounded by the fact that I like to model obscure and rarely modelled, if at all, subjects. My research involves hours of looking over photos to glean details and a search for the most accurate drawings I can find. I then produce drawings and sketches of my own to resolve the detail that may not be so forthcoming. This is where the sub-forums have been invaluable. I will then start by creating a 3D model using my software of choice, Blender. This software has allowed me to further familiarise myself with the design, create small components for 3D printing, and also create the graphics for the instruction manuals that come with each model. I then start the creation of the master patterns. Here is the master pattern for the upcoming Project 667 Delta IV. This hull comprises a wooden bow and stern sections and PVC pipe in the middle. Then follows months of symmetry checking, filling, sanding and fine detail and scribing work. This has to be just right before going to the tooling stage. I carve out recessed positions for the appendage parts in a block of wood on the base, and as I proceed to make a two-part mould, I need to take care to consider the position of the sprue, flow of liquid and the venting of air. I also take time to measure out the exact quantity of silicon, as this material is expensive. Once these moulds are created, they simply can be used to produce hundreds of parts over hundreds of cycles. In the meantime, the smaller parts undergo their own development. This is where the 3D parts come into its own, as I can print exact repeatable copies and then sand them through the process of adjustment, refinement and finishing. All this takes up the bulk of the overall project. I use silicon molds for all my appendage parts in the top hull mold. Silicon allows for incredible levels of fidelity and detail. To produce a new run of parts, I simply take the molds apart, insert any brass insert rods as needed. These rods create the holes needed for rotating hinge shafts and the like. Then once given a spray of release agents, they are folded up, held together with bands. Then the polyurethane is mixed and poured, and the mold is placed in a pressure chamber to avoid air bubbles, creating a Swiss cheese effect and ruining the parts once they've hardened after about an hour. The average kit, depending on complexity, will require up to 8 or 9 sets of molds. The lower hull master is used to create a hard shell mold. This has lower fidelity and can be a challenge to release sometimes from the mold, Unlike silicon molds, they require a good release agent. Here I can be seen inspecting and checking the split mold for the lower hull of the resolution glass. The reason why I've created a split mold for this lower hull is the fact that it has a flank array that runs down the length of both sides. If this was a one-piece mold, it would be impossible to remove the part from the mold because of the draft angle caused by the flank array that runs down either side. This is a feature that only appears on the resolution class. Once I have created the two hull halves, there is still post-mold processing to be done. I will fix and fill any imperfections in the molded parts. I will then take the hull down through finer and finer layers of paper until a smooth surface is created. Finally, all these components come together in the kit. This will include the instruction manual that comes with each package. The RC submarine kit market is a niche one. There are few vendors. My contribution is to add another option to the limited mix. My kits are handmade and offer rare subjects. I do not claim that my designs are perfect or will become a precision build. However, I came to the realization that many people would rather an imperfect kit than not to have one at all. So far, the RC modeling community has been very positive about the products I offer. As mentioned on my website, these models will build into satisfying, long-lasting and durable kits that, when combined with the right dive module of choice, will produce a superb running model submarine design that will perform well, look equally good, and should certainly keep you happy. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing from you. This is David Hughes from Zero Bubble Model Design.